My adopted sister won the elixir challenge by stealing my potion. To her shock, she was informed that the event was a selection event for the future wife of the Serpentkin's future head, the same heir who was infamously impotent, barbaric, and hideous. When the Serpentkin sent over a proposal letter, demanding her hand in marriage, my fiancé panicked and promptly took my adopted sister away for a quick marriage and even consummated. Once the deed was done, she returned triumphantly, showing off the mark on her lower back. "Well, what are you going to do now, Winnie?" she gloated. "Your fiancé is mine now, and you'll be 25 in 3 days. If no one comes to pick you up, you'll just be dumped into the hands of some wife-beating rogue who is aging and unwanted." Actually, she was wrong. I had a choice. I went to the parlor where my parents, who were busy fixing the mess my adopted sister made, were, announcing, "If she refuses to marry the future head of the Serpentkins, I will." My words could have been a clap of thunder. My father, still holding the Serpentkins' proposal letter, froze in the air. My mother was left gaping, her tail bristling as she cried, "Have you lost your mind, Winnie? Ebony is born impotent and bloodthirsty." There were rumors that he almost bit through a servant's throat when he snapped, "It's suicide." I was about to argue when my father cleared his throat. "You're right. Sirius and Lola have marked each other. What would happen to them if Winnie doesn't marry?" A look of conflict briefly flashed in my mother's eyes, and she slowly let go of my hand. My heart grew cold in turn. Even though I was their biological daughter, they had always preferred Lola even though she was adopted, just because she knew how to sweet-talk and play the damsel in distress. Smirking, I said, "But on one condition. On the day I'm marrying, you will make Lola confess in public that she stole my potion." My father was at once furious and struck the table as he bellowed, "How can you be so vile? You'll destroy your sister's reputation." Although my mother looked at me with disappointment too, I simply smirked. "It's like the letter says. The future head to the Serpentkins desires to marry the one who made the potion. She should learn not to be greedy. What does she want for the rest of her life? Fame or a happy marriage?" My parents eventually gave in for Lola's sake. I turned around and left without hesitation, only to run into Sirius stepping out of Lola's room down the hallway. He was draped in a bathrobe with suggestive marks spread all over his chest, and the scent of Lola's rose perfume was pungent around him. One could easily imagine what they had been doing for the past 3 days. However, seeing me wrinkle my nose in disgust and starting to leave, Sirius promptly stopped me and sighed. "I know you're upset, but this is the only way I can save Lola. You know how obsessed the Serpentkins can get, but marking Lola would discourage even Ebony." I smiled wryly. "And what about me? Sirius and I should have marked each other since I was 20. But Lola would do something to delay us at every turn." Now, I was almost 25, and he had marked Lola at the very last possible moment. As such, there were only 2 options waiting for me at this point: to marry a rogue or the future head of the Serpentkins. The only dead ends before me were being matched with a wandering orc or marrying the young master of the snake tribe. Even as Sirius blinked in guilt, he quickly grabbed my hands as he exclaimed, "It's okay. I won't let you marry some rogue. I'll mark you as my slave so you can live with me without needing to marry. Don't worry, it's just a formality. When you move in with me, I'll treat you the same as I do with Lola." I laughed despite my rage. How could he be so despicable? Only exiled beast folk who had committed heinous crimes would ever choose the slave mark, which was also a humiliation in itself. They were no more than merchandise that could be sold at one's pleasure, and they would always remain inferior to other beast folks for the rest of their lives. Even their children could only be slaves in the future. I knocked his hand away. "Never." Sirius quickly hid his embarrassment by snapping at me. "What's your problem? Don't you love me? Or is your dignity that much more important than being with me?" I retorted, "Really? Then why didn't you mark Lola as a slave? That would have saved her too." Sirius bellowed before he knew it. "How could you even say that? A slave? A delicate maiden like her should be given all the world's affection and kindness, without an ounce of grief." Years of accumulated grievances left my eyes reddened. Just because she was a delicate rabbitkin, while I was the only 9-tailed foxkin in my clan, blessed with 9 lives and exuberance. That was why our parents and even my own fiancé favored her, while telling me I could endure all the grievances because of who I was. The contempt in my eyes really stung Sirius just then, and he growled, "You had better reflect on that attitude soon. You have no other choice anyway." After Sirius left, I headed downstairs, my mind in a daze. That was when my parents handed me a gift from the Serpentkins, a love bracelet. It was the same bracelet that I had failed to bid at an auction in the past, and my heart felt warm seeing it. Perhaps marrying Ebony didn't necessarily mean my death. The next day, I went to the jewelry store to pick a return gift for Ebony's bracelet. I remembered that Ebony's beast form was a black snake with green pupils, so I picked a pair of snake-shaped cufflinks with emerald eyes. Even now, I thought to myself that since the Serpentskins had money and influence in space, what was there to be upset about? After I had paid and started to leave, I heard someone exclaiming in exaggerated surprise, "See, Sirius? Winnie's such a tsundere. She had refused your slave mark just yesterday, and now, she's buying you such an expensive present. I really lack her cunningness." I turned to see Lola snuggling in Sirius's arms, while he was grinning gleefully at me. And here I thought you were a strong, independent woman. But you'll really do anything so that you don't have to marry a rogue, will you? That was when I remembered that it was Sirius's birthday, and they presumed I was buying a gift for Sirius. He snorted in disdain when he saw the cufflinks I was holding. Anyway, those are hideous, and I don't like them. Get me a pair of woven ones instead. I frowned as I corrected him. These are for my fiancé, not you. Sirius laughed coolly as if I had just told him a joke. Quit being so pig-headed already, you're almost 25. Who would willingly marry an old hag like you? So stop playing hard to get, or I won't mark you as my slave. That was when Lola's eyes twinkled as she turned to the store next door, pointing and exclaiming, "Look, Sirius, you can brand her at the Slavers Hub. I really can't bear seeing her constantly worrying about her future, so let's just do her a favor and mark her now." "Oh, Lola, you're too kind for your own good," Sirius sighed, tapping the tip of Lola's nose before wheeling on me haughtily and snapping, "Well, get moving." He even leered at me as if he were bestowing me a great gift and left before I could say a word. Right in the middle was a huge fire pot filled with burning coals and rows of branding irons with the worst profanities described. That was when we saw a slaver was pressed down with a red-hot branding iron on his back. Even the strongest beast folk would scream shrilly because of the pain despite his sheer muscular bulk. Even Sirius cringed, but he said nothing as Lola told a bodyguard to drag me inside. At that moment, I realized that the same Sirius, who had doted on me and protected me from any harm, was nothing more than an illusion. As for Lola, she was grinning at me in malice while clinging to me with a vice-like grip, her usually delicate mannerisms suddenly vaporized. "It's all right, Winnie, I'll get you something real nice." She looked around the hub and found one with the word whore on it. Giggling, she picked it up as she hopped toward me, exclaiming, "This one suits you best, Winnie." That was when I struggled to get rid of the bodyguard's hand, but even before I could touch Lola, she fell backward, as if I had pushed her. She dropped the branding iron. A spark brushed against her hand but didn't even leave a mark. However, Lola quickly covered the back of her hand, her tears instantly overflowing as she wailed, "You didn't want to marry a rogue, and I'm just trying to help you, Winnie. But you burned me instead." Even before I could react, Sirius rushed toward her, knocking me toward the fire pot. I lost my balance, and my palms pressed over a chunk of coal. The agony struck instantly, as the scalding sensation on my palm engulfed me from head to toe, and I couldn't even breathe. Smack! But as I lifted my hands, Sirius slapped me viciously across the face. Glaring at me in disgust, he bellowed, "You're such a vile woman. Lola kept vouching for you, but you do this to her? Apologize to Lola right now." I stared at my bloodied palm and suddenly laughed out loud. Sirius's heart tightened inexplicably, and a trace of panic showed on his face. "Why are you laughing?" I shrugged, not about to tell him that I was laughing at my own stupidity for giving myself so much grief, just so that I could retain the shallow affection of my parents and Sirius. Every time Lola played the delicate maiden, they would believe everything Lola said without question, even if I was my parents' real daughter and Sirius's childhood sweetheart. And she kept going, giving the impression that I was a wicked villainess who kept hurting my sister and taking away everything that was rightfully hers.